Hello, welcome to week 10 of Books Being Sick. I am Nick. This is week 10 of these weekly update videos where I basically share with you my week in reading and just my life, basically. This channel is 90% about books. However, I am going to be sharing some non-book stuff. One thing I wanted to do, actually, because I sit at my desk here so frequently, editing, reading, just staring at the wall, I'm going to start including my album of the week, and they're not going to be new albums. It's just going to be kind of like my most listened to album of the previous week, just for something to throw in there, you know what I mean? And I also almost always have at least one new book, whether it's from the library or a pickup or someone sent it to me, so I'm going to include that on the weekly updates as well, just like this was my album of the week and this was my book of the week that I got. So that'll be fun. But what we're going to start here with is this reading slump that I have found myself in, which is driving me insane because I started off the year so strong. January was probably the best reading month that I've actually ever had. And February started strong. I started with, what did I start with? White Nights? I think it was White Nights. And then I went into Beartown. Loved Beartown, as you know. And then here's the thing. Here's the problem, okay? So I started with Beartown, and then I went into Us Against You, which is the sequel to Beartown. And I loved both those books so much, but I did start to notice in Us Against You, towards the end of it, I was like, we're getting a smidge repetitive. Like, yeah, it's like, yes, Beartown is a hockey town. Yes, I get it. You know what I mean? And then when I started reading The Winners right after Us Against You, which is not only a huge book, but it's just kind of continuing on. The repetitiveness kind of has been continuing, and I get it because, you know, these books were released years apart from one another, and if I was reading these years apart from one another, the little subtle repetitive things in there would not be noticeable. I'd actually probably really appreciate it, but because I'm reading these back to back to back, it's not like wrecking the book for me. I don't want this to sound like The Winners is not a book that I'm enjoying, because I am enjoying it because I love these characters and I love the story. It's just I feel like because I went 1, 2, 3 with this, there's just like sometimes full chapters where it's like, yeah, no, I already knew all this. So what I decided was I should read another book. I should get another book in there and then come back to The Winners, because I think going 1, 2, 3 on this was probably not the best idea. I should have learned my lesson by now not to read like a full trilogy back to back to back, because it is just a kind of an overload and kind of kills it for me. That's my bad. So, but then I was like, do I read Mayflies? Because I'm already like 50 pages into Mayflies, but this book I know I'm gonna love. I'm just not in the right headspace for a book like this right now. So I was like, I'm not gonna go Mayflies. And I did get The Woman in Me, which is Britney Spears' book. I got this from the library, and I got like halfway into this, and it's totally fine. Like it's totally fine, but I'm not dying to pick this up and keep going with it. And so I'm like, man, do I just keep going with The Winners? Do I do Mayflies? Do I pick a completely brand new book and just kind of do away with everything in front of me and just go completely fresh and then come back to all these? I hate these reading slumps, honestly. Like, I feel like I've just got so much momentum, and then it's just like, bah, you know? Britney Spears' book, by the way, again, I haven't read the whole thing, but she does appear to have a lot of grace for people, which I can really appreciate. You know what I mean? Like, she doesn't seem like she's trying to like attack anyone. She seems like a very understanding person, given everything that's happened to her. And so I'm finding that pretty interesting. However, again, you know, it's like, it's totally fine. It's just not a book that I'm dying to keep going with. So I don't know if you noticed my shirt. This says Shirley Jackson. It's probably backwards, actually. I don't know how it might be backwards because of the thing. I don't know, but it says Shirley Jackson. And I got this from a company called what was it? Girlparts.co. Girlparts.co on Instagram. They sent me this shirt. Their whole thing, I love. Their little blurb here says, teased and blazoned with your favorite literary sad girls. There was a Toni Morrison one. I got the Shirley Jackson one. Check them out for sure. There is some really, I just love this. This is, I mean, you know what I mean? Conversation starter shirt, you know what I mean? Shirley Jackson, Toni Morrison, you know, love it. Anyways, so speaking of Shirley Jackson, what I decided to try and break myself out of this reading slump is to get back into one of my favorite genres, which is horror, especially classic horror. And so I'm going with a Shirley Jackson book that I have not read yet, and that is We Have Always Lived in the Castle. I'm going to get this one going to try and break out of my reading slump because I think I'm going to love it. And it's also not too crazy long. You know what I mean? I think the audiobook is like 6 hours. It's not it's not an insane. I don't know if you guys judge the length of books by audiobooks. Whenever I'm buying a physical book, I always like look up the audiobook to see how long it is to get a better idea for how long it's going to take for me to read it. Because sometimes books like you'll have a book that looks like this and then like this, and it's like this one is longer than this one, and physically it doesn't appear to be that way. Audiobooks are a great way to kind of just get an idea for how long the book is actually going to take you to read. So I'm going to get into We Have Always Lived in the Castle because I love Shirley Jackson. I love The Lottery. I love The Haunting of Hill House. And I think I'm going to love this one. So anyways, kind of a bummer of a week, you know what I mean? I've barely done any reading because I've just not had the motivation, and I hope to get back into it for the remainder of the week and hopefully next week to pick back up because the year started so strong and now I'm like, I hate myself. So we're going to move on from the reading slump. Okay, so next up, I'm going to talk about a book that I got. This is from a guy who is sick. His name's Kyle. He owns a place called Kayuli Rare Books, and he's sent me a few things before, and he sent me yet another book. I feel like guilty at this point. Honestly, I feel extremely guilty at this point. But this guy, if you're looking for I've bought books from him before as well, and if you're looking for, if rare books are your thing and you're looking for something that is just going to be a very smooth, easy process and has a face to the brand that you can actually talk to, and he'll be as accommodating as possible. Kayuli is honestly a really dope guy, and he sent me this. Now, this is really, really cool. I hate to be one of those guys that's like, oh, you can't see it. Sorry, I'm going to do it anyways. It builds interest. It builds intrigue. Okay? Whatever. So, I'm Canadian. I live in Canada, but American politics have always fascinated me. The American political system and the show and just everything about it. I just find so interesting. And a president that I've always found just to be kind of a fascinating, very likable, very just kind of like a sweet dude is Jimmy Carter. Jimmy Carter seems like one of the good ones to me, and he has a book of poems called Always a Reckoning that Kayuli sent me here. And not only did he set, I don't know if you can see it, the sun's kind of brutal, but not only did he send me that, or not only is it nice to just have this book, but the book is signed by Jimmy Carter himself. So I don't know, I just feel like I'm really excited to have that. You know what I mean? A book signed by a president seems like a cool thing to have. So, and I read a few of these poems too, and they're really cool. I'm not like a poetry expert by any means, but I was really enjoying what I read here. And so yeah, that's just, again, thank you so much to Kyle. And that's my book pickup of the week. Very grateful for that. Honestly, I do not know why he's so nice to me, but he is. So I'm gonna, just gonna accept that. So that's kind of my reading. That's my book pickup. Talked about the reading slump. I'm gonna talk about a movie that my wife and I watched last night. That is probably the best movie I have seen in quite some time. It is nominated for a Best Picture this year, so you've probably heard of it. And that is The Holdovers with Paul Giamatti, Davine Joy Randolph, and Dominic Sessa. I have not. Paul Giamatti is one of my favorite actors ever, but I've never seen Davine Joy Randolph or Dominic Sessa in a movie before. And the three of them, the chemistry and the acting talent that these three possess was just incredible. It made the movie that, like, it was just so this movie is about it's kind of this high school, this very prestigious high school, and we're coming up to Christmas break and all the students are going home, but a few of them stay behind. They don't go home for Christmas, and they're called the Holdovers. And basically one teacher also has to stay to keep an eye on them. The teacher is Paul Giamatti. And I'll leave it at that. It's very coming of age, very I love movies like this where they just kind of let the characters breathe and talk to each other. There's some hilarious moments, there's some very upsetting moments. You kind of connect to these characters because it's a bit slower and a little bit breathier. You get into the emotion of these characters, and when things happen, you feel it that much deeper. At least I did. I thought The Holdovers was so fantastic. I hope it wins everything. I haven't seen a lot of the Best Picture noms, but The Holdovers was right up my alley. Would highly recommend it. I think it's on Prime. I feel like a salesperson today. Like, duh, 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 duh. Sorry, that was not intentional. But The Holdovers was super sick. I would definitely watch The Holdovers. I was also going to talk about this. Also has to do with books, kind of, but it's more photography. I saw my favorite photographer. Whoa. I saw my favorite photographer. His name's Larry Towell. He is the man. He is a documentary photographer, a Magnum photographer, and he did the show where he played music to his photos, and it was absolutely incredible. If you are looking for the best photo book you've ever seen in your life, he has this series that he did called Mennonites, and it is just, I'm just gonna open it to a random page here, just the most beautiful work you've ever seen. It's my favorite photo book that I own, and you could literally just sit down, put on some music, and just flip through this book and just be moved. You know what I mean? Just be totally moved. So Larry Towell, check out Larry Towell. The show was incredible. I got him to sign his record for me. He spelled my name Nik, which is totally cool. And speaking of books, actually, Libby is not working for me because where I live in Hamilton, we had like a cybersecurity attack and the library system went down. And so now the Libby app isn't working because it can't connect to whatever. So Libby hasn't been working. And I'm realizing how much I depend on Libby. I really love Libby. And I oftentimes spend my evenings just looking on Libby aimlessly just to see what's coming up and going to different libraries to see what they have. And it's not been working and it's been sad. So that's neither here nor there. I just thought I would share that. My album of the week, guys, is going to be Joel Plaskett's La Di Da. This is one of my favorite albums of all time. I've listened to it twice this morning, and I listened to it a few days ago as well. If you're looking for some East Coast Canadian folk music, the best East Coast Canadian, the best, I shouldn't even classify it as that, just the best folk music, you know what I mean? He's one of my absolute favorites, and that album, La Di Da, is incredible. I'll try and link all this stuff below because I know I've kind of said a lot of names and things here, which I don't normally do. So I will. I'll try to remember to do that. Yeah. What else happened this week? I packed up all the Spinebreaker shirts from the first drop. So those shipped out. That took a crazy long time. I'm not the best folder, so folding that many shirts was kind of insane. But thank you so much to everybody who did buy a Spinebreaker t-shirt or sweater. Super, super appreciate that. The next batch will be coming in, and I'll have that sent out promptly. And yeah, I think that's really it for week 10. I was a little all over the place here, but that's my life. Oh. So I saw this guy, and he was like, it was this kind of TikTok video where he was like, if you're getting into the YouTube space and you're not familiar with it, make sure like every video that you say, like and subscribe. I know it's going to help you. And I was like, I don't know, I'm making him sound. He seemed like a really nice guy, but the video. I was like, man, I genuinely hate doing that, but I do think like everybody, it's apparently something that you do have to do. So please forgive me. Just if you want to like and subscribe, that would be cool. Don't worry about it if not, okay? Doesn't that just make you like, it makes my skin crawl? You know what I mean? Subscribe to me. Let's do it. Anyway, yeah, that's going to be it. That's week 10. I feel like I probably missed some stuff, but you know what I mean? It's all good. Shirley Jackson rules. Yeah, see you guys.